So first up, Matt, what are the big themes here at Mobile World Congress this year?
Well, we're going to talk a lot around Open Gateway. We're going to talk around fair share. We're going to talk around spectrum, of course, and we're going to talk a lot around the usage gap, where people are not using mobile internet.
Let me pick up on the fair share point, because there's this fight brewing. The Europeans are looking at how we can get big tech to contribute to some of the infrastructure costs that have been shouldered by the industry at this point. How do you think this plays out?
Well, let's see. I mean, the Commission has issued a report for consultation, and we welcome that report. And it's going to be really interesting to see what responses that we can, or what the Commission can get back. We think it is fair. This is just a European activity as of now. We think it's fair for the few companies that are using our networks to such a large extent. It's 5 or 6 companies that stand for more than 50% of our total network capacity. I think it's sort of fair that they should contribute.
Isn't it the fault of regulators to an extent by not allowing consolidation to take place, which means that some of the operators are simply not in the position to spend the money on infrastructure upgrades at this stage? Isn't it the regulator that should take responsibility here?
Yeah, partly, possibly. I think it's sort of more complicated than that. But I think as a European, I'm being European myself, I think this is critical, because Europe needs to really make sure that we are part of this future generation, future technology. We need to have enough money to invest in our networks. 5G is ripe right now, and I'm sure you're going to ask me about 6G, which is around the corner. We need to keep up with the pace, and if we are not having enough money to push into mobile CapEx, we will lose competitiveness, and that we cannot have.
To what extent can the journey towards 5G be accelerated if there is greater participation from some of the big tech companies that we're talking about here?
Well, they are already participating, but I think it is critical to see now how 5G is moving us as an industry towards more other verticals. And I think you can see it here at the show as well. We're anticipating, 85,000 people or so. More than 50% of them are coming from outside of the telco space. So that is healthcare, it is energy companies, it is automotive, aviation. So there's a whole bunch of companies that are trying to understand, how can I better use connectivity to reach my customers? And I normally say it takes more than 2 to tango these days. It takes 3 or 4, and that is complicated. So I think we need to make sure that the ecosystem, the business models are being developed. Technology is in place, but we now need to be able to harness it, because 5G has given us different capabilities than what 4G, 3G, 2G gave us when it was just 2 that tangled. I provided a SIM card to you and off we went. Now it's more complicated, and that takes a little bit longer time.
I want to pick up on 6G. We've been talking about it for a couple of years, but it feels as though this year we know more about it. What does 6G mean to you?
Well, still 6G is just words. There is no sort of real tangible proof what it's going to look like. So I think we need to wait and see. It's going to be faster, it's going to be more resilient, it's going to be more meshed, I'm sure, together with Wi-Fi, maybe together with satellite somehow, but let's wait and see.
But we know more in the sense of the use cases, right? Connected vehicles of the future, metaverse, ChatGPT, generative AI. Those use cases have been coming to the fore in the past 12 months, right?
Yeah, but that would be true in the 5G world as well. That's just the connectivity piece. And I think that's what I meant with the 3 or 4 to tango here. It is, the world is becoming more complex. You have AI. We have been speaking about intelligent connectivity for quite some years now. And that is sort of what you're now saying. It's a combination of 5G, AI, IoT, and big data. And it's all in one bucket. You can't sort of separate the connectivity piece without talking about ChatGPT or AI or sensors giving us massive amount of information, and that we need to somehow process. That's the interesting bit, and that's why you have banks interested to be here. That's why you have healthcare providers wanting to be here, to see how can I better use this technology to reach my customers.
Can I ask you a little bit more about 5G and how to monetize from this transformation? What are you seeing in the industry? Because Nokia was saying to me yesterday that they would argue that they're starting to see the benefits now of 5G. Do you think we're seeing it across the industry, or is it still slow to materialize?
I think we're starting to see it. I mean, from a financial perspective, we know that 5G alone will give the industry another $1 trillion in economic value. To 2030, we will have $6 trillion of this economic impact. So it's a huge, huge muscle that is moving forward. We know that we just surpassed 1 billion 5G connections. Less relevant because it's not so much you and me, but the industry is adopting it. We have smart factories, smart cities. These words that we spoke about 3, 4, 5 years ago are now happening. And you can argue that it goes slow, but if you sit here in a couple of years' time and you look back and say, my God, it went really fast. Look at what we have today, that we did not have a couple of years ago. So we're in the midst of a transformation, and that, I think, is quite interesting and exciting.
There's always a lot of geopolitics around Mobile World Congress. There was the war in Ukraine last year. Yeah. This year, the Chinese are back at the event. And over the years, we've been watching the Huawei story play out. This could now morph into some sort of a chip warfare where access to certain chips are restricted for some of the Chinese companies. What happens from here? How do you think the Chinese play in the European telecoms market?
Well, I think they are trying to get back in. As you can see here, they are back in a huge number. I mean, they are now 50% larger than what they were before. So they certainly want to showcase the best and the most innovative technologies that they have. And we wish them absolute luck. I mean, from a mobile operator perspective, we need to make sure that we have enough suppliers so we are not sort of building our technology on one or two. We need more. But then again, there's the geopolitics that plays in, so we need to be balancing this in an intelligent way.